Welcome to Turning Hard Times to Good Times. I'm your host, Jay Taylor, and speaking to you from the borough of Queens in New York City. It is the 30th day of June 2020. Half of the year is gone already, and it's been a very tumultuous year, to say the least. Certainly one of the most tumultuous, if not the most, since I've been born in 1947. It is quite some time that we are looking at, and want to get into today's show to talk with Frank Holmes and Quentin Henning a little later about all that's going on. I do want to remind you that I am the editor of a newsletter, Jay Taylor's Gold, Energy, and Tech Stocks, and you can subscribe to my letter. Go to miningstocks.com. You can also call our office during normal work hours in New York City, 718-457-1426. 718-457-1426. And if ever there was a time to subscribe to my letter, I would suggest it's now, because the junior mining stocks are really starting to fly. And I'll be talking about that more as the day, as this hour progresses. I also want to encourage you to consider signing up for Chen Lin's letter. What is Chen buying? What is Chen selling? ChenPicks.com. ChenPicks.com is a place to go for that. Chen also follows the mining stocks, but his real expertise, his most significant expertise, probably is in the biotech sector, and I think he's doing extremely well with that right now, in addition to the mining sector. I want to thank each of you for listening to this show, making it one of the more popular shows in the Voice America Business Channel, and encourage you to continue sending along questions, comments, whatever they may be, to send them along to questionsfortaylor@gmail.com. We do want to thank our sponsors for making this show economically viable. Our sponsors for today's show: Great Bear Resources, Benchmark Metals, Hannon Metals, Irving Resources, Novo Resources, and Sitka Gold Corp. I must say, as I just said, if ever there was a time when you need to subscribe to my letter or to other letters similar to it that focus on the junior mining sector, it is now. These stocks are really on the rise. Great Bear is probably the most outstanding one this year for sure. Great Bear sold as low as $2.75 in U.S. money at the bottom of the market, along about March when everything tanked. It was selling at over $14 today. And it's just a phenomenal deposit, the Dixie deposit, that is just continuing to expand. It's hard to know where the limits are to this thing yet, both at depth and along strike, and two different kinds of mineralization, two different styles of mineralization there, but just an extremely exciting stock. And I can say that every time I think about selling some and taking some profits, they come out with some more drill results that gets the market even more excited. Certainly Chris Taylor will be on the show again in the not-too-distant future to update you all on what's going on there. But Chris does numerous different things on the Internet that you can follow. He does a lot of different webinars. And so if you go to Great Bear Resources website, you can certainly keep up with all that Chris is doing, and he is just an excellent communicator in advising people, helping them understand the project and how it's unfolding. Benchmark Metals, Benchmark Metals is another new sponsor to this show. It's up from, it was low around 13 cents in U.S. money. It's now around 40 cents. That was earlier this year, 13 cents to 40 cents, like 170% rise. It's done extremely well. It is now starting to drill on its project, the Lawyers Project, up in the Toodoggone region of British Columbia. They are targeting a 5+ million gold equivalent ounce resource, and most of the work that they're going to be doing this year will be infill drilling to try to get the data points they need to be able to produce a resource of that size. And they also, though, beyond that, have other very exciting targets in the same region. But Benchmark Metals, I think, is a stock that is not yet recognized by the markets. And I think with good drill results, and I expect they will be, given the fact that they're doing infill drilling, I think the logic suggests that they probably will be quite good. We'll have to wait and see for sure. The company its drill program is up to around 50,000 meters. It's the largest drill program in that area, and this is one I think you definitely want to keep your eyes on. Hannon Metals, another sponsor of this show, has discovered, as we've talked about, the sedimentary hosted very large-scale copper-silver deposit in Peru. And Mike Hudson has been on this show to talk about it in the past. I just recently did an interview with Mike Hudson, and he was also on the Metals Investor Forum, where he talked about that company's project, and you can learn more about that. Of course, I talk about these companies whenever there's news. Every week I put out my newsletter and let people know the latest news and also my views on these various companies. Now, Irving Resources, it's just an amazing story. They put out some great news just this past week, a couple of different news releases that are extremely important. And I'm not going to say more about that now because Quinton Henning is going to be with me right after the first commercial break in just a few minutes from now to talk more about that. Quinton is an advisor, a technical advisor to Irving Resources, and he is also on the board of directors. But they have some really big companies coming into the picture now. They have a strategic agreement with Newmont, and I believe they've also just signed on with Sumitomo, and picked up another very significant project. This is a company that I think you really, really need to keep an eye on. I think it has great upside potential. And, of course, all of these companies are doing better in this environment where they can raise money and put holes in the ground. This is the time that junior mining companies can make people a lot of money. Novo Resources, also a sponsor of this show, continues to progress, even though people aren't really aware, I think, as much as they should be about what's going on. You really need to pay attention to this one. Dr. Quinton Henning will be on with us in the not-too-distant future to talk more about what's going on there. I actually believe that this is a story that's going to be more exciting once people start to understand the scope and the grades and the potential economics that are involved with this massive conglomerate gold belt. 3 different styles of mineralization that Novo is working towards bringing into production. I expect they could actually start to see some production before the end of the year or near the end of the year anyway. Things are progressing very, very well, and Dr. Henning will be on with us on another day to talk about Novo Resources. And last but not least, Sitka Gold Corp is a company that I think really needs to be paid attention to. Sitka has now increased its value by about 300% this year, but it's still, I can tell you that I doubled my own personal position today by paying 15 cents for Sitka, but it's got 3 different projects that it's drilling, will have drilled this year, and it's drilling on a Carlin-style Nevada target, Carlin-style target in Nevada that, in another few weeks or so, if we start getting some good news from that drill program, I think the stock could really do extremely well. In any event, these are just a few of the current sponsors. I just mentioned the sponsors of this show right now. There are other stories that are doing extremely well. I should say in my newsletter, Galway Metals is up 14% today. This is an extremely exciting story, expanding a high gold, structurally contained gold deposit in New Brunswick. Very exciting story. So these are just some of the reasons you need to sign up for my newsletter, either myself or the other folks that write at the Metals Investor Forum. But you can sign up for my letter by going to miningstocks.com. So I've been writing about gold mining shares since 1981, and I have to say that there has never been a time that I have been more bullish than I am right now about this sector. Now, that's not to say I'm completely pleased about everything else that's going on in the world. There's a lot of things that really alarm me, but in fact, that's one of the reasons you own gold is to protect yourself against downside risks. I might just quickly mention that Michael Oliver, in his last weekend message, in his missive, noted that if gold should close above 1775 this month, that his momentum indicators are suggesting that we should be off to new highs. And, it's just a few hours left in this month. I see the gold was on the spot anyway, 1783. So it looks like we could clear that hurdle, in which case Michael believes we're on to much higher gold prices. Now, I've titled today's show Frank Holmes on Airlines and Gold Stocks, and Frank will be with me in the second half of today's show. Dr. Quinton Henning will be with me in just a moment or two after our first commercial break. As you know, Frank Holmes has headed the U.S. Global Family of Funds for quite a few years. More recently, he instigated or set up two different ETFs. One is a gold ETF, trades in New York under the symbol it's GOAU, G-O-A-U. And the other is an airline ETF, and that's JETS, J-E-T-S. We'll be talking to Frank about both of those industries and about those ETFs. Certainly, if you want to see two divergent industries, you have to think there's nothing much more opposite than the airlines industry and the gold sector right now. But want to hear what Frank has to say about that, about the conditions that exist right now, the political, geopolitical issues around COVID-19, and a host of other issues that we'll be talking to Frank Holmes about. But right now we need to go to our first commercial break because Quentin Henning is going to be back with us to talk about the amazing Irving Resources story. So don't go away. We'll be right back with Quentin Henning.